Settle down, kid, and let me tell you about these Empties. Back in the days of the Stronarchian Empire, yes, it was that long ago, there was a primitive race called humans, and the Stronarchians, being the paranoid beings that they were, decided they couldn't let this race survive. Their only extrasolar colony was demolished by an armada of ships far beyond anything that humanity could combat, with all attempts at contact and diplomacy being ignored save for one message, a star chart of the Stronarchian Empire. It covered hundreds of systems, a boast that there really was no way humanity could hope to survive. The civil human government began to fall apart, but the military seized power and began a massive program that they claimed would save their race from extinction. Hundreds of small sleeper ships would be built, each carrying a number of human colonists loaded with supplies. It was hoped that at least some of them would survive. The true purpose of the project was, however, kept secret from the public. A full half of the sleeper ships were loaded with soldiers, equipped with the heaviest weaponry the humans had access to, and were pointed at the Stronarchian planets as a final gesture of defiance. It was suspected that the life support systems would fail en route, given how far away the Stronarchian worlds were located, but the combat AI in the servo suits would take over and complete the mission. My cousin's brother's wife's best friend's ex-wife was working in orbital control on Qatar Minor. Yes, that Qatar Minor, and detected a ship coming in for a very hard landing on the other side of the planet. The rescue party reported that nothing was alive on board, but there were a few suits with skeletons inside, and so we brought them back to the colony so that we could give them a decent burial. Mid-flight, the rescue party's ship failed to respond to hails following some erratic flying, but scanners detected that their transponder had failed, so no one thought there was a reason to panic. Border world, old equipment fails all the time, and they assumed it was just a system failure. The only odd thing was the ship's computer was downloading an awfully large amount of data from the central core. Obviously, all she had access to was the transponder data and unencrypted communications, but what she saw was that the ship followed standard approach procedure towards the landing field until it flew over the center of the colony, upon which the ships hastily descended and crashed into the main governmental building. She then heard reports of suited figures emerging from the flames, massacring the survivors and any bystanders. The last contact from the surface reported the spaceport was being overrun by eerily silent figures who could take a plasma bolt to the chest, have half their torsos vaporized, and pick themselves back up and carry on. After that, nobody's really sure what caused the explosion that destroyed the colony, but a simultaneous overload of the central power grid, combined with the detonation of the emergency reactor fuel stockpiles, would do it. Orbital Control naturally panicked and called for help. The garrison on Qatar Prime sent a reaction force, but when they landed there was nothing left of the colony but a smoking crater and a few badly damaged emergency data recorders. One of them was the internal monitor from the rescue ship, and even through all the static and data corruption, you could hear the terror of the crew as the supposedly dead creatures rose up and slaughtered them all, with the calculated brutality of a machine designed for nothing but death. You see, back in the days of the Stronarchians, Qatar Minor was a major refueling point for their armadas. The humans must have pointed one of their attack crafts towards it and hoped for the best, not realizing that Stronarchia would fall centuries before their dead soldiers arrived. Of course, the official investigation told us that it was renegades from the Outlier cluster, but who are you going to trust? Some politician who's scheming to advance his own agenda and hasn't seen anything past his own constituency? Or me, a seasoned starship captain who's seen things that'll flash freeze your blood and thaw it out again before you can even think about screaming? It was the Empties, I tell you, the Empties. Spirits of vengeance from a long-dead species, uncaring as to the identity of their victims and driven by a single line of logic: revenge. Now remember what I told you earlier about how half the human ships carry colonists? What if, somewhere out there in the depths of unexplored space, one of those ships defied the odds and made it? What if there's a world covered in enraged monsters, biding their time and contemplating revenge? I've told you what their dead can do, kid, and I lose sleep at night. Imagine what their living are capable of.